Good morning, everyone. So thanks for waking up sort of early to be here for the first talk. That's great. So let's just get this set up. OK, so yeah, thanks for being here for the first talk. That's amazing. Before, when Dave asked a few questions, I noticed a little bit low in energy, and I want to change that a little bit. So we never have the opportunities, or almost never, that we have tables in the audience. So we are going to use them. For this to work, I need everyone a little bit to participate. We are going to do something very simple. I say Vue.js, and you do on the table tap, tap, clap. Vue.js, 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 Vue.js. Buddy, you. OK, awesome. So, a little bit warmed up. Yeah, my name is Marc. I'm based in Luxembourg, where I'm also born and raised. I'm tech lead at Talk Event Software. It's a small software shop here in Cologne. And we service mostly Sparkassen. So if you are a client, a customer at Sparkasse, there's a big chance you have used the software written in Vue.js. I'm a coffee and whiskey enthusiast. So if you are into that, just hit me up later. I can talk about that all day. I'm also student pilot. I'm supposed to be pilot by now, but weather was shit this year. And you probably wonder, why am I telling you about that I'm a student pilot? Well, I try to bring it up as much as possible. So, yeah, this is a picture of my last flight, probably for this year, 2 weeks ago, doing circles around my home base. OK, so yesterday, a lot of people presented their cats, and I was like, there's a misrepresentation here. Where are all the dogs? And cats kind of suck, right? But like, I mean, my dog doesn't work on the keyboard. She lets me code whenever I want. She's obviously cuter than a cat, and she's Star Wars themed because she's named Yoda. So this is Yoda. OK, so let's get to the topic at hand, time machine. So what is this talk about? It's not like a new big paradigm or something. It's just earlier this year, I gave a talk at another conference. It was named almost similar, building a time machine with JavaScript proxies or ES6 proxies. And that was a lot of fun, and I thought, like, hey, maybe we can do this with Vue.js internal tools. So I stumbled upon a few things there that I thought, like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe it's interesting enough to make a talk about it. And that's what I did. So we are going to do a lot of live coding, or I'm going to do a lot of live coding, building a time machine, and yeah. So what really is time travel? Consider, if you will, a timeline. This is the timeline. And there are events, there are things happening. So this, we can consider it as a state change. You have a state in a game or your app, whatever. This is a state change. So the age 20, then it changes 21, 23, and so on. So this is changes. So now consider you are at a certain point on this timeline. And then you just go back, and you can go forward, and so on. So this is the first version we implement. Not really that exciting. It's an undo, redo kind of thing. Not that exciting. So the second version is we are on a timeline, and then we travel back, not states, but in time. So we say, I want to be back 5 seconds, or 10 seconds, whatever, a minute in the past. So this is very interesting for games, which I have programmed a small RPG game I will show you in a second, where this makes a lot of sense. And then, yeah, you go back in time, and then you erase what happened before. So that's another way you can look at time travel. And then the third way that probably not enough time to implement it, but I'm going to show you because it's pretty cool. Consider, once again, a timeline here. And you are at some point on your timeline, and you travel back. Again, X amount of seconds, X amount of time. And then, from there, you create another timeline. And these timelines can be created from any other timeline. And then you can switch between timelines. So is it really a time machine that we are building here? Or is it the goddamn multiverse? It is a multiverse. OK, so very quick, what are we going to, we're not going to use any crazy things here. So we are going to make use of the view reactivity engine. We're going to use reactive states watchers, composables, our everyday use things, and some other view tools, nothing crazy. And yeah, so consider you have an object. In this case, it just has age and a number. What we want is a proxy. And how do we achieve this? Yeah, we just make it reactive. And for this, we use a composable. We return a reactive state. We watch for changes. We manage the history, the time jumps, and the timelines. And we make sure that the object that we get out of it is the real one for the timeline and the state, the history state that we want. So it's going to look something like this, and we are going to call it like this. But let's just get into some coding. We will start small, and we will build up and up and up until we have our multiverse. OK. Let's just minimize this. So first question, people in the back, can you read the coding font? Yes? Yes? OK, good. Because a little bit bigger would be hard to see enough here. OK. So here we have like a very basic example. We just have a state here with age. This is my age. Whew. And we can just increment this. And yeah, there's no decrease button because we don't have a time machine. We can't just go back in time and be younger again. So we just have to build a time machine, right? So we're going to do this. I have here already prepared the use time machine file. And we are going to see what do we need here. So first, let's see what do we get in. We put in our initial state. And why is it 4 tab size every single time? OK. Better. OK, so we return a state. And then we want to go forwards and backwards. There will be some more things added to this, but this is for the moment what we want. So let's just say we have a state. For now, let's make it reactive. The initial state. And we also need a history. This is going to be, let's say, a ref. It's just an array of our states, right? OK, then we have the forwards and backwards function. So forwards like this. Oops. Forwards, backwards. OK, so far so good. We should probably import that as well. We have the reactive ref here from view. OK, so now we can plug this in here. So we just import use time machine. And then we just replace the reactive here. We don't need that anymore. And yeah, we expect an object, so this. So if we look at it, it still works. So at least we didn't break anything, which is already good. So let's see how are we going to do this. So let's start with the watchers. So we have this state here, and it changes, and we want to see when it changes, and we want to take record of that. So we just go ahead. We watch the state, and then we get the new state, and then we do something, right? In this case, let's just say we console log this out, the new state, to see what we are working with. Yeah, we import this here as well. Let's start this again. And it already does something, so you can see here, maybe I zoom this in a little bit. Every time then where the state changes, something happens here, the watcher is called. So cool, but how do we build our history? So we have here a history, an array, right? Let's just go ahead and fill this. So every time when there's state change, we want to take record of that. So we're gonna push our new state. Okay. Actually, I want to output also the history, so we can see what happens. Let me just import this as well, and we're gonna just log this. Okay, so cool, works, age 38, 39, but something's wrong here. All of this is the same. Why? Well, there's two problems here. First, when we start, the initial state isn't loaded. This is a smaller problem. We just say here, initial state, then it's done. But then when we add, something strange happens. The values are all the same. Why is that? Well, our state is still reactive here. So it's always the same. So we can, what we can do, let's just make a quick and dirty copy of this and see if that works. Okay, that works for now, because it will not work for all the cases, but good enough for now. So we have our history. Now we want to actually go back and forth in the timeline. So backwards and forwards is a little bit the same thing. So we implement a higher like a function for them to call. So let's just call it. We want to go to a different like index in the history. So let's say we need first an index of that. History index that starts with 0. And then, yeah, when something is added, we want to make sure to increase this. Oops. And we can make a function here, move to index with a certain. Okay, so here we want to do something like this for the forwards, like move to index, history index, +1 and -1. So the backwards is, let's go back in time, -1, +1. So it's just skipping ahead. So what are we going to do here? We want to move to that index. First, we have to reset the history index to the index that we want here. And then we need to set the new state. So let's just say we have the new state is the history at our index, right? And then we just need to rewrite this. So you would think you can just do state is new state. But this won't work because it's constant. We can't just do this. So maybe we can do something like we just iterate through all our keys, and then we just set the key of the state to the key of the new state, and that should work. So let's see. We actually need to add the buttons here as well, so let's just do this very quick. Backwards, and forwards. And we just also import this backwards. OK. So we go backwards, and something strange already happens. There's another item added to our array for whatever reason. And yeah, the age is decreasing, but not at every click. So what's happening here? Let's take a look at our time machine. Yeah. So the thing is, when we set the state here, what we also do is invoke the watcher function, which is what we don't want. So we need to do something here. This might be a better way to do this, but I would just go ahead and make a variable ignore watch, which is false, and then if the ignore watch is set, we just return. And then we need to go ahead and set this. So before changing, ignore it, and after. OK, so this should work, right? We enter here, ignore this. This is triggered. Then this is triggered. Our ignore watch is true, and then it goes out, and it doesn't invoke this. So cool, let's try if that works. And it still doesn't work. Why could that be? So let's put some console log here. Let's log out the ignore watch. And so let's clear this. And then when we go back, the ignore watch is false, even though we set it to true. Why is this? So this is an issue, or not, actually not an issue. It's a feature of the watch function. Watch is, I wouldn't call it lazy. It batches things. So for the, it's usually by default it's called after the parent node is updated and before the current node is updated. But we could do something like this. We just, quick and dirty, we just send it to the back of our life cycle. Then we try again. And then, let's say, backwards. It works. Ignore watch is true. We go back our age here. So good. I actually also want to output the history index. Let's just, so we can see that better. History index, OK. So you can see index 1, 0, we go back, and the value is OK, and we can go back and forth and so on. Cool, but do you really want to have this in your code base? I think not. So let's refactor this a little bit. We get rid of this. And there's one thing here for the watchers. If you go to the view documentation, you can see that you can set something that's called flush sync. There's a huge warning there. Caution, do you really want to do this? Make sure that you know what you're doing, because it's going to be called every time, really synchronously, when something changes. And I was like, hey, this is exactly what I want. So we just, caution to the wind, and we just say, let's just do that. So we just set the flush to sync. And then we try again. Well, let's just also refactor this a little bit. We can do this in one line. Object assign state new state. And then it's already working. So this is cool. Now, I have a small game here. Let's just maybe zoom in a little bit. Cool. So it's a dummy game. Like there's a wizard. He can. Oh, why does this? Okay. He can travel through his maze here, and there are hazards here. There's fire, invisible hazards. There's visible hazards. There's a snake here, and you can see the health decreases and all that kind of stuff. So now let's try to add our time machine to this game. So we have here the game view. We have. Yeah, you can see here use game is just a composable that makes the next move, and when it's an obstacle, you can't go there. When it's a hazard, you're bitten by a snake, and not really important, just that you can see it. Here we want to use our time machine. And yeah, so we have here our game state, and we can just go ahead and we have our state. I use time machine in our game state. Let's just call this TM state, time machine state, so we know what we are talking about. Yeah, and then we can just go ahead. We could rename this to TM state. And let's see. So we go through our maze, and oh, we don't have the buttons. Very quick. We have our backwards, forwards, every time. Forwards, and we have things here. I have to speed up a little bit because time is passing, and I can't turn this back. So we go through our maze here, and we can go backwards. Cool, backwards, forwards, but hold on, what happens to our potion here? We took the potion, but it doesn't put it back when we go back in time. What's happening there? Let's take a look. What is in this object anyways? A few values, and there's one is called matrix, which is an array of arrays. Yeah, so we were being lazy here. By just doing the cheap copy. This is not going to work on arrays and I think also objects. So we have to refactor this. Let's just go ahead and we can do a structured clone, right? Structured clone. This also won't work because, yeah, this issue here, I won't get too much into it, but the thing is we don't have, we still have the reactive state here. We want the raw value. So Vue.js has a thing here called toRaw, and we can just use that. So let's try again with our wizard, getting the potion, going backwards. Hey, and it works, so it puts it back. So that's solved. Cool, so now we have version 1 of the time machine, which is undo, redo, a little bit boring. So we want to go back in time, because also this is not that elegant. So we go back in time. Oh, no, not back in time. Backwards, and the potion isn't there, and then in the next step is, and the next step is there. So it would be a little bit more elegant if we just go back in time, not back in steps or state changes. So let's do that. For that, we can go back to the demo again. Yeah, so what we need here is a function back in time. We pass seconds there. Let's return this in our demo view as well. We import this here. And we also need a button for that. So back in time, let's say 5 seconds. Here, back 5 seconds. OK. So let's see, what do we have to do here to go back in time? First, we need to know where are the 5 seconds? So we need to add a timestamp to this. So let's just go ahead here and add timestamp, new date. So now we have a timestamp. Every time when we change the state, we have exactly the timestamp when this happened. Cool. Now, back in time. So first we need to figure out where we have to go. So the idea is to find out the index in the history where we want to cut off the rest of the history and just go there. So let's just first find out the target time. This is also probably a better way to do this, but I'm not a big fan of date things in JavaScript. So I just do this. New date minus, and then the seconds times 1,000. So because it's milliseconds, and then you want we want to get the index, right, where we cut it off. So the index is, let's just the history, and we find value. We find the index of where the now we have the timestamp, right? The timestamp is bigger than our target time. And then we just also move to the index of the index. So we already have this function, so that's good. Let's see if that works. We go back in time 5 seconds. It worked here. You can see the age is, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we add a few things. And then we go back, and then it's close enough, 38, so probably index -1. But we said we want to delete the history, so we don't want to just go back. We want to go back and then delete what happened after that point in time. So my solution for that would be we just go here, delete history, delete history, defaulted to false. And if we want to delete the history, we go ahead and we reset the history. We just reset it to, we slice it off. So we slice it from the 0 to the, yeah, I think it's index +1. So again, so reload 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We add a few things. We go back 5 seconds, and it doesn't work. Damn it. I have just 2 minutes left to figure this out. Is there maybe an error here?
Delete history true. Yeah.
Oh. Thank you. Yes. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We add a few things, and then it works. Okay, thank you. Now, time is running out, but let's add this as well to our game here. Not change timeline. Back in time, we already have that here. Oh, so we already have that. Good. Let's go to our game. And yeah, let's go here. Do some things here, and then we go back in time. And again, it doesn't work. Back in time is not a function, so we just didn't import it here. Back in time. Once again. Back in time. And cool, so that's cool. So now we have a game where we can travel back in time, but we want also to have our timeline. So I have like a minute left. Can we have 2, 3 more minutes? Okay, thank you. For that, I will jump forward in time. So let's just go ahead, reset hard, bam. Check out version 3, and we have the thing here with the timeline. So I will just show you what changed. It's not that crazy. we have, instead of the history and the history index, we have the timeline and timeline index, and in each timeline we have the history and its index, and we basically replaced everywhere it said history, we have timeline, time index, history. So this is all throughout this function. We also have here our change timeline, so we just change the timeline and a few more extra things here if it doesn't exist and so on. But let's see. So here on the bottom, you can see, you can see this is the timeline index. So we're now in timeline Vue.js DE 0. We can go here. Oh my God, flames. We go back in time. And then we can see we are in another timeline. In timeline 1, we can go back in the timeline where this happened. So we are back there. Go to the next timeline. In any of these, I can do further steps and just try to figure out the next. Yeah, wasted. Too much fire for the wizard. So yeah, this is basically it. Let's go back to the slides and then we finish this up. Yeah, this is also not a perfect solution. Not sure if you should use this in production. It can be lighter on the memory because we save the state again and again and again. Maybe we could just save the changes. This would be easier on the memory. It would have been cool, but it would have been a little bit more complicated to have an interaction with the past player because we have Avengers, Back to the Future, everywhere in Harry Potter movie 3. You can interact, or you see your past self. So here that's not the case. So it would be cool to replicate this. I tried it. It's a little bit too complicated for a talk. And maybe also add grouped transactions where we say, okay, this moving there and then adding the potion or removing the potion, like a group of actions, and then have that in one single transaction. So it's not per change, but per transaction that can have various changes. Okay, thank you for your attention. Here is a QR code. If you're interested in looking at the code, maybe just try it out. Yeah, vue3.org/time machine is just linked to GitHub. Yeah, thanks for your attention, and hope you liked it.